Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we are rejoicing and we are glad in it. Happy Monday. Today is Millionaire Monday, and we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. If you are coming on, joining us live, please do me a quick favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, and I want you to tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know that your boy, Ramon Preston, my squad, we are all live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta, and you, my friend, are watching the Ramon Preston Show. Welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. Happy Millionaire Monday. My prayer is that you had an extraordinary weekend. If for some reason your weekend wasn't as extraordinary as you wanted it to be, let's see for the next 30 minutes or so if we can make that change. All right, so welcome to the Ramon Preston Show on this beautiful Millionaire Monday. I am your host, Ramon Preston. And every Monday through Friday, just like today, we show up here live in the middle of our day to share information with you about money, information about business, information about investing, wealth building, about life, about God, about everything that makes success what it is for us as ministry and marketplace leaders. So I want to say thank you to all of you that continue to support this show Monday through Friday. For those of you that have already subscribed to our YouTube page, thank you so very much for being a subscriber. If you follow us on all social media platforms, thank you so very much. If you are not subscribed to my YouTube page, or if you don't follow me on other social media platforms, be sure to hit the subscribe button before you go today, and you can go to any social media platform. You can type in the word Ramon Preston, and you better believe I'm going to show up. So with that being said, since it is Millionaire Monday today, and it is actually raining outside, at least here in Atlanta, we're going to make sure we make it rain with some millionaire game. So today's show, we're going to be talking about the millionaire must-haves. The millionaire must-haves. There are at least 3 things you must have if you're going to become a millionaire. Now, before I get started with these millionaire must-haves, I want you to please put in the comments, put in the chat, what city, what state you're watching me from today, who you represent. I want to know what city, what state you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from today. Why do I ask you to put in the chat, in the comments, what city and state you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from? One of the reasons is because we have people who watch the show from different cities, different states. We even have people from different countries that watch the show. We have a lot of students, clients, investors, partners, people who are in our ministry and business community that they get a thrill out of knowing that they're part of a global community, a broader community. And I like to go back. My team and I, we want to check to see where you're watching us from. So please put in the chat, put in the comments, what city, what state you are watching the Ramon Preston Show from. Okay, so today's show, we're going to be talking about the millionaire must-haves. What are at least 3 things you must have if you plan on becoming a millionaire? Which, by the way, becoming a millionaire is going to require more than these 3 must-haves that I'm giving you. But at least if you have these 3 locked in your life, you can definitely start beginning that process to move towards becoming a millionaire, okay? So again, put in the comments, put in the chat, what city, what state you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from. And my prayer is that there is something inside of you that is at least challenging you to put yourself in a position to become a millionaire at the very least. Okay, and so today we'll talk about these 3 millionaire must-haves. And once you have these must-haves, we'll break down some of the details of why these 3 must-haves are important. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put the questions in the comments, in the chat, and my team and I will do our best before the show ends, the live show. We'll make sure that we circle back around to answer those questions. So what are the millionaire must-haves? At least the top 3, okay? I'm going to give you my top 3. So the first millionaire must-have is you must have a target. You must have a target, okay? And when I say a target, I am talking about a number target, a financial target. You must have a target. Don't just say, I want to be rich. Don't just say, I want to be out of debt. Don't just say, I just want to be comfortable. Saying you want to be rich, saying you want to be out of debt, saying you want to be comfortable is not a financial target. But when you put a financial target together, you are mathematically quantifying what you actually want to do. So for example, if you must have a target and it is a financial target that you must have, saying $1 million is a target. And then if you can stack that target with a time, which is not always realistic, because you can say, I want to make $1 million this year. It may not necessarily be realistic in terms of time, but at least you are putting yourself in a position where you have something to work towards, and you have anchored that something with a timeline that not only forces you to do more and to take massive action, but it also forces you to eliminate the excuses and the extensions and the procrastination, because you know, I have $1 million target, I have a $100,000 target, I have a $20,000 target, and here's the timeline I've got to do it. So again, the first millionaire must-have is you must have a target. You must have a target. I always tell my students, clients, people that I talk to, all the time I tell them, you got to do the math. This is another way of saying it, to do the math. As a matter of fact, here's something I want you to catch when I say it, okay? One of your favorite apps on your phone should be your calculator, okay? Your favorite app should be your calculator, at least one of your favorites. It should be your favorite favorite app, not a social media app, not any of these other apps that you using to just goof off with. Your calculator should be an app that is either your favorite or one of your favorites, and it should be used on a regular basis throughout the course of the day. Why? Because if you're using your calculator, most likely you're doing the math. You're always mathematically calculating the decisions you're making. I don't want to make a lot of decisions and I'm not doing the math. Now, it don't mean you're going to always do the right math. It just means you're doing the math, and it's very, very important. So again, the first millionaire must-have is you must have a target. You must have a target. Now, in one of our previous shows, I talked about financial planning and how it requires you to have a short-term, a mid-term, and a long-term goal. Well, what I would encourage you to do today is look at the rest of this year from today all the way to the end of this calendar year, whatever the time is. And I would encourage you to set a target, a financial target with that time from today to the end of the year, and I want you to put a dollar amount that you want to set as a target to make. Now, if you have a job, there's a certain dollar amount you gonna already make because you have a job. So you want to make sure that you give yourself a target in that time that stretches your creativity, that stretches your commitment, that stretches your consistency, and that gives you this runway to start figuring out what strategies you need to use in order to hit that financial target in that timeline. All right? I've never met a millionaire. Now, I'm sure there might be some exceptions to this rule, but I have personally never met a millionaire and have had a conversation with them who did not have a financial target. I've never met one. As a matter of fact, the more successful a person is, it seems like the more dialed in they are on that target. Okay? So when you start talking to very successful people financially, I'm not talking about other areas of success, because people love to use as old lame excuse. Well, I'm successful, but I'm not successful financially. I'm just successful in this area, or they always got some lame excuse. I'm not talking about these people, all right? I'm talking about people who understand a part of your success has to be financial. And if we can just move away from some of those other areas real quick and just dial in on the financial success, we realize in order to have financial success, you have to have a doggone target. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? You got to have a target. So this is a must-have. You must have a target, and it needs to be a financial target. Don't just be writing down or typing in your phone, I just want to be rich. I just want to have a couple dollars. I just want to get out of debt. I just want to be comfortable and happy, and I just want to buy my mama a house. How much money is it going to take for you to actually do the things you want to do? And give yourself a timeline. Even if the timeline comes and goes, at least you put yourself under that timeline to force yourself to do more in a shorter period of time. Because guess what? If you want to be a millionaire, if you want to make $1 million, you can literally go work a job that pays minimum wage. And if you work there long enough, over the course of 40 years, you'll probably make $1 million. The problem is, within 40 years, you're going to spend that million plus some because you had too much time involved. Now, if you take that same $1 million and say, you know what, I want to make the million, I just don't want to make it in 40 years. I want to make it in 4 years. Or 4 months, or 4 weeks, or 4 days, or 4 hours, or maybe in the next 4 minutes, or in 4 seconds. Whatever the case is, you shrink the time, but you still need to have a financial target, okay? So the millionaire must-haves. Number 1, you must have a target, a financial target. Number 2, you must have, and this is what one of my mentors always like to say, and I'm just adding a little bit to it. This is a must-have. You must have an urgency. An urgency. You must have an urgency. Do you know what an urgency is? Okay? So for example, let's say you have a financial target between today and the end of this year to make an extra $100,000. Let's just say you want to make an extra $100,000. That doesn't include the money you already gonna make on your job or the accounts receivables you already have coming in through your business, or the money you know your entrepreneurial side hustle is gonna make with a couple clients or products or whatever. Let's just say you want to make another extra $100,000 outside of anything else and everything else that you're doing. Well, that means you have a financial target and you have a time, because you say you want to make this extra 100 grand before the last day of this calendar year. Well, the second must-have The second thing you must have is an urgency. Now, you basically got to act like you ain't got to the end of this year. You got to act like you need that 100 grand for the end of this month. That's what an urgency is called. And what happens is once you add an urgency to the target and the time, you don't waste your time anymore. You don't waste your energy. You don't waste your talents. You just don't waste this stuff because you start saying, wait a minute, I ain't got time to be wasting on people, places, and things that are not helping me to hit my target. Your target is really a financial, numerical, mathematical version of your vision, your mission, your purpose. That's all it is. Your target is just a financial, numerical, mathematical version of your mission, your vision, and your purpose, if that makes sense. And because you have that target, that numerical, that mathematical, that financial target, which you see as a vision, a mission, and a purpose for your life with numbers, now you got an urgency. We do not have time to play no more. We do not have time to play. There are things we are doing because we gotta do them. Okay, like my daddy used to say, gotta have, then got a hold of your behind. You know, my daddy is old school. I mean, you know, he's passed away, but my daddy used to always say, every once in a while, we'll have that talk. And he used to mumble, so you gotta come close to listen to him. But he used to always say, listen, son, you know, some people, they want it, you know, but when you want it, you ain't gonna do nothing. My daddy used to always say, they ain't gonna do nothing. Why, Daddy? Why they ain't gonna do nothing? Because they just want it. They want it. He said, then there's some people who need it, so they ain't as bad as the people who want it, but they still ain't gonna really do nothing because they just need it. So he differentiated people who want it, people who need it. He say, nah, when gotta have get a hold of your behind, that's when you gonna get up and make something happen. So he would differentiate the people who want it from the people who need it, from the few people who gotta have it, who got their behind up and made something happen. And so this is what your urgency has to be. You have to have an urgency that I cannot waste today to put some wins on the table, to put some points on the scoreboard. Because guess what? Even if you don't win the game, whatever your target is, if you don't win the game to hit your target today, you still got to think, I got to put some points on the scoreboard. And if I can put enough points on the scoreboard today, even if I just put a point on the scoreboard today, well, 10 days from now, I got 10 points on the scoreboard. So I'm not going to waste time today knowing that I can put at least a point on the scoreboard, okay? So number one, you must have a target. Number two, you must have an urgency. And number three, this is coming right out of the playbook of one of my mentors, you must have priorities. You must have priorities. This is the biggest one right here. You must have priorities. You must have priorities. What that means is, I'm going to give you another version of what I mean when I say you must have priorities. You must make the main thing the main thing. I was just telling somebody yesterday after church that a lot of times people look at preachers and pastors and ministry leaders like me, and because they don't know us, and because they don't understand what fuels us, and because they don't take the time to see the bigger picture, they just see what we talk about on the surface, but they never know why we talk about what we talk about on the surface. They never know why we're so focused on what we're focused on at the surface, because they don't know we have a target. And that target is tied to our vision, our mission, our purpose in life. And we have decided to be responsible enough to not only have a vision, a mission, and a purpose, but to figure out how do we quantify that vision, that ministry, and that purpose. Because you can use all the lame excuses you want to. It don't matter if you got a church, a nonprofit, a business, a side hustle, a job, if you a stay-at-home adult, if you're on a fixed income. It really doesn't matter where you are professionally or personally or financially. Everything you do in your life, wherever you are and whoever you are, is tied to some kind of money. All right? It's tied to some kind of money. And so those of us who are responsible financially, we just make the decision to take vision, mission, and purpose, and we filter it to quantify it, to make sure we understand what are the numbers associated to this vision, this mission, and this purpose. Because we know in order to fulfill a vision, in order to fulfill a mission and a purpose, we need money. We need financial resources. We accept that responsibility and we don't push that responsibility away in the name of trying to be super spiritual and extra deep, knowing that the people who overlook the money part and just focus on the purpose, mission, vision part sometimes are the brokest people because they're irresponsible. They don't want to take responsibility for it. And so I was telling this person yesterday, people don't understand the target. They don't understand what's behind the mission, the vision, and the purpose. And so they don't understand that I'm not chasing money. I'm chasing purpose. And I've given my purpose a target so that I can fulfill it and finance it, right? But with that target, I need an urgency. I can't be around here dragging my behind, twiddling my thumbs, acting like I got all the time in the world. No, you do not have all the time in the world. You know what time you got? You got today. And some of you that are watching me right now, you waste so much time waiting for another time to make the decision then that you should be making today. And what is the decision? I don't know. Maybe the decision is for you to educate yourself on this stuff. Maybe it's the decision for you to get your business started, for you to go back to the drawing board, for you to save money, for you to hire a coach, for you to partner up with somebody, whatever the decision is. But stop wasting time. Find an urgency. If you don't have an urgency, it may be because you don't have a target. But once you get a target, you're going to find an urgency. And then when you have an urgency, now you need to prioritize the actions and not do things that are not helping you reach your target. This is one of the reasons why my phone does not ring like some people's phone rings. I'm not wasting my time on the phone. I ain't wasting my time doing nothing. And the little time that I am spending with people in places doing things, it better help me reach my target because I'm not wasting it. It better help me fulfill my purpose and my vision and my mission. And if it's not, I'm just not going to do it. So hopefully, prayerfully, today's show enlightened you on the millionaire must-haves. Because I can guarantee you this, and I don't even know if guarantee is a strong enough word. I can promise you this. If you do not have a target, if you do not take the vision, the mission, and the purpose and quantify that with numbers, financial targets, if you do not have an urgency, if you don't prioritize the things you got to do today, you don't worry about being a millionaire. Don't worry about being a millionaire. And you can find examples of people who don't do nothing and they became millionaires. Yeah, they probably inherited it. Maybe they got a lucky break somewhere along the lines, or maybe they hit the lottery or, scratch off or gambled and it happened. But that's not sustainable over long periods of time. and the number of people who succeed doing those unicorn type things are so much lower than the people who actually do things like this and become millionaires. Okay? Matthew said, "You shall have a target or it will be given you, one that you don't want." 100%. I like that, Matthew. Lula, I see you. I appreciate y'all for being on here. So prayerfully, y'all have learned something about the millionaire must-haves. Because again, I personally have not met, talked to, or have developed a relationship with anyone who is a millionaire or multimillionaire or successful financially that don't have clear targets, financial targets. These are people who don't just talk about what they want to do and what they finna do and what they got dreams to do and what God showed them to do. I've never met a millionaire that's like that. Okay? The millionaires that I've met, that I've talked to, that I know personally, or multimillionaires, these people have clear financial targets, and a lot of times they have already put a date that they want to accomplish this, because when they do that, they create this sense of urgency where they're not wasting time with people. They're not even wasting time talking to me because they're too busy fulfilling their mission, their vision, and their purpose, and they're prioritizing everything that they do every day. So you're not going to catch them just doing things that are not prioritized. So I love y'all. I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining the show today. I would love to get some feedback, maybe a big takeaway, something that resonated with you. Feel free to put it in the comments, in the chat. Let me know what you thought about today's show, what stood out the most for you. Of course, if you have any questions, you're always free to drop the questions in the chat, in the comments. My team and I, we always circle around, come back even after the live show to make sure that we answer any questions. And if you are interested in taking a few minutes with my team and I for us to conduct a complimentary advisory assessment, then you can look in the description of this video. There is a link, and when you click that link is going to prompt you to our advisory assessment form. It's a short form asking you just for a few pieces of information so that we can understand what your expectation is. And once you submit that form and the best time that we should reach back out to you, we will reach out to you. We will conduct a brief advisory session. This is a complimentary service that we are extending, at least for now, we are extending through our private equity firm, RP Capital. This is one of the divisions of our private equity firm, which is our strategic advisory division. And we are offering this opportunity to our community members. So again, if you are interested in conducting a brief advisory assessment, you can complete that assessment form and we'll help you put a roadmap together for what you need to do financially in your business, with investments. If you have some ideas, we can give you some direction and advisory tips on that, and hopefully you can get to where you want to go sooner than later. You can also visit our private equity firm website. It is rpcapitalfirm.com. 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 And there you will find more information about how we are helping people take their personal finances, their businesses, and their investments to the next level. With that being said, it's 12:30. Thank you all for joining the Ramon Preston Show. You already know we'll be back here tomorrow, same place, same time, 12 o'clock noon Eastern, right here on